Jaguar's index number, Bravo, Yankee, Romeo 502 Bravo.
And in we go for part 22. We left you in 22 with a couple of repairs that needed doing, and I've now undertaken this repair. Luckily I found a little piece of metal again off those bits of scrap metal we've had off all the chopped up pieces, and this side on one of my chopped up B-pillars was good, so we removed the good piece of metal and it's been brazed and migged in, and that hole's in pretty good order. We've rust treated it at the back and blended that into that B-pillar, so that repair's out of the way. Lucky there that we had the part, and we could have made that, but we had it anyway. That takes us across to this repair that we need to do before the wing goes back on, and while we're waiting for the chassis leg to arrive from the dippers, which is next week, I've been reliably informed. Some repair to do here. Again, the same shell that's just offered that B-pillar offered this piece, so I burned the paint off it and dropped it in the acid tank for a few days just to see what comes up, and it's the piece that I need. Indeed, is exactly what we need for there. So we can cut out and drill out just a section that's going to go and fix this. That's my next mission while I'm waiting in this downtime, and I'm also starting to get some chrome together, the bumpers front and rear. We're going to find two good bumpers that don't need a massive amount of repairs and then get them sent off to ST Chrome. They're going to fix them up for us. We've got Underriders new old stock, just found them, so that's good. So what I want to do is get the chrome stuff boxed off, sent away and being done, and I've got to list anything that's to do with chrome on the car. I think the headlight bezels need chrome, the actual internal bezels as opposed to the actual final trim rings, and there's a couple of little extra bits of chroming that I have done, accelerator pedal shaft and a few other things. Put them all together and get them picked up, and that'll be that out of the way. Whilst we're shuffling all this stuff around is what we're doing. It's all about now logistically planning it out. Whilst that's going on, we also will repair this. So now it's time to cut out the piece that I need, then start trimming up the area here, and we'll get the MIG on the go and we'll get that blended in nicely. Okay, the extraction is going good. We've prepped up the piece of donor material. Here it is, salvaged from that panel as I just explained, and I've now broken it away in a shape that's going to suit the repair. You'll see there's some braze on it. That's where it brazes to the quarter, the rear quarter, to the corner of the window. So you've got quite a few brazes, joins go on the quarter. For example, on that B-pillar there, look. Certainly there's lead at the top and there's braze in that corner. There's actually braze in every intersecting corner, even down here where it reaches the back quarter, rear tail light area. More braze goes in, so each join point is brazed in on these wings if you fit in them. Now we've got quite a bit of complex metal going on in this area. This is the aeroflow system. You might just think this is just part of the rear aperture of the window, but it's not. Well, it is, but it's also to do with the aeroflow system. I'm going to explain a little bit about that in a minute. We have covered it previously and we did delve into it for the front scuttle, but let's have a look at what's going on at the back in terms of aeroflow while we're doing this repair. So in my hand, as I just showed you, is the piece I've extracted, and what I've done, I've extracted it in a stagger formation. So part of the inner piece of it's left on, and then the top to create a stagger join, which you'll find the inverse of it now ready to receive. So the opposite cuts in the metal on the car itself. Now then, we need to remove it. I've been slowly removing the old metal, breaking it away from the point where it joins this gutter rail. Spot welded there and there, but also there's some hidden ones here. So when they've built it, they've really gone to town. Now what's interesting is when I break this away, I'm finding sealant inside there, and I also found this same sealant in the donor piece when I took it off. Now Curiously, the firing process didn't get that out, which worries me in terms of, I don't think that I would really criticise the dippers for this. It's probably a very difficult thing to actually have to go and get, to actually burn all that out. There's nowhere for it to escape to. You see that sealant there, and you can see again Ford's typical recess that they make when they use sealant. They tend to leave these little sealant channels, so what happens is that they'll caulk that up and then it'll form a cut of end to it there. Or indeed they could have just injected the sealant into that reservoir, that what you call a recess, and it's squidged out that way. I think that's what they did. I think they looked for these recesses and the caulk gun went in like that, and as you close that panel on top it squeezed it into this area. That's what I think happened. So this is definitely a seal. Now we could wonder why there's a seal there, and I'm going to look into it further. At this moment in time I'm not exactly sure how and indeed what that actually seals from. Let's fold that down and see if we can work it out while we're on live online. I just can't see. I mean, it could stop water getting in this double fold. Perhaps it's to keep this area dry here, because that could be a water trap. The way that it's built down there, I don't know. However, it is sealed, so we're going to have to replicate that. We'll just use seam sealer. We'll make sure we do it. This is going to need a really good clean. So we're installing this piece. Let's break that off now. I've just took my gloves off, by the way. I do have gloves on. This metal can be sharp, so I'm watching out. You stay with me as we discover together what the hell's going on. And you'll hear a rattling. That's my hoodie top catching on the metal. I'm going to take it off in a minute. This slots in round the back. Over we go. I need to now make my correct cut here. I've cut it over so I can start getting it exact and matching these up. This will then sit in. We shall reseal there. We're going to have to plug weld here. We may burn the seal. It's a tricky one. Into the back straight forward. If we just slot in, I'll take you up and over so you can see better. You can see how we're fitting now, look, to make a nice seamless repair there. It's very important to get this distance correct because the wing needs to come in there, so we make sure that we land exactly where the old one came off. So we're going to scribe this with a scratch line. We're not going to use the silver paint because I'm about to crock sand this off here. So we could do a scribe and a scratch line in it so that this lands exactly in the same place, and by doing that we know then not only that the window aperture is right, but the wing's going to land on its receiving tab here and on its braze point there. This, I'm going to give it a quick dip in some acid for a few hours, then brush it up, then neutralise it back. But before we do, we remove the last remnants of the old damaged end of this. And now, I talked about aeroflow, so let's get on to the aeroflow. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to bring you up, see this lovely light we have. I'm going to set that light up onto this area and we'll briefly talk about aeroflow before we carry on with the welding repairs. Hold on now while I set up the LED tripod lamp. Okay, you can see what a difference it makes when you're doing your project to have it well illuminated. So, briefly, that repair piece goes in there on the stagger join, making sure we follow that scribe line that we're about to put in. Okay, let's talk about the airflow then. Look at the back of this area here. This is where our boot lands. This is a rain channel, but it also has air ducts there. There's your back window rubber seal. So on the face of it, looks straightforward. Some air ducts, but the air ducts are working in conjunction with the gutter. The gutter continues up, and you can see there that it creates a hole at the top. So there isn't actually a point where this is sealed. It's actually allowing air to come over the top and out. So it's creating a barrier between the inside and the outside of the car. Can you see? So it's a baffle, and it's going to probably stop water from getting in. If water's landing in this rain channel, you don't really want it to get drawn up into that. Although the air pressure is actually going the opposite direction, it could still have possible water ingress without having this kind of dam wall, if you will, with the gap at the top. But we can understand that. So if the cabin was pressurised, and it is pressurised because the ram air effect comes through the scuttle intake and it goes into that area, that plenum area, which you'll see if you look at the bulkhead build early on in the films. We take that plenum area apart and we worked out how the air is drawn through and eventually enters the cabin. So the cabin goes under a positive pressure, which then is relieved either by your windows being open or more effectively by exiting through these holes at the back. You see the circular holes there, and that creates the air pushing down the screen, which quickly demists your screen as well. Once you're in motion, it helps to keep the back screen clear. They've directed the airflow to come down the back of the window and into this plenum area here, where my finger's now in. So that is, first one in is me inside this bit. Then it can then get out by jumping over the top of this and out of the vent there. So not only is this sucking, but it's also pushing at the back. So I would have thought that you've got a combination of vacuum at the back and air pressure into the cabin at the front. So that is how the air would flow through the car without you hearing the noise of outside, because of the baffle inside here will help dampen the noise. It stops the rain and lets the air, but at the same time lets the air flow through. Where it alters a little bit is with these holes cut out in the parcel shelf, and this is where it alters a little bit, because those holes come out into the boot. I'm going to talk about those now. I'm going to get the light inside here. I'll just show you something I'm not 100% sure about. Let's have a little talk about it to do with airflow. Right, here we are inside. Now, can you see that there's 3 oval cutouts in part of that chamber that forms this area? Okay, and we need to find out what is going on there, because not only is it going into this, but it's also coming through there, and you have a plate, you have a little box that clips up here, and they're always missing on the cars. You can see the securing tabs for it. There's a securing tab for this little box that clips up over there, and that box, I think, is either to help it draw air out of the boot, so if there was fumes in the boot it would extract them. I think that's what it does, because it's able to take the vacuum from this area and connect it through the box, and is able to draw air out of the boot. But I'm not 100% sure. Also notice a little bit of damage underneath here we need to fix too. That's going to be tricky. We might have to do that when it's upside down. We need to just repair that area a little bit. So some damage on this, but still salvageable. But as I was saying, the airbox that fits here, covering this hole and then giving access to this hole, seems to connect those 3 areas together. I can't quite work out why you would have this flattened type box that clips up. I'm just not sure. I've got to try and plan this out and work out exactly what they were trying to achieve here, because there's your air exit out of the car. Why would you have these 2 slots there connecting to that box? There's got to be a reason for it, and I can see that that 3rd slot is actually connected to, it looks like it's connected to these. Yeah, it is. That 3rd slot's quite well connected into this main structure. If you were to have that slot without it being blocked up, in other words, if this slot's just left as it is now without the box, you're going to lose half your vacuum power, because it's going to be just drawing out of this slot instead of out of the interior of the car. So you've got to have the box fitted on that to cap it and then to pass it on, and it looks like it's just going to convey more vacuum across into the actual car. So unless that's the master airflow and that these are auxiliaries to just so that most of the airflow can get through the car through these, and then the rest of the airflow is coming in through those holes. Sounds a bit complicated, and maybe I'm not explaining it as well as I can, simply because I don't really know how they've planned that bit out. I can understand the holes, those circular holes, and these, and the fact that it's got a separating wall to baffle the noise and to stop water coming backwards in. I just can't quite work out those slots and the idea behind that, and the fact that they go into the boot. So I'll do some further investigations on it. Somewhere somebody knows this. There'll be a design sheet that showed the arrows showing the flow, and I have got one from Autocar that shows the flow, but it only shows the arrows going down the back of the window through these holes. It doesn't mention these ones, but there's no doubt that they are connected to the system. Okay, we'll have to just keep on researching that. I'm not going to settle till I find out, because it annoys me that I don't understand what's going on. We can put it back exactly how it is. We can repair this as we're doing, and we can put the box on. We have the box, and we'll make sure that it's got an airtight seal. You can see the other tangs. There's another tang there for the box to slot into here. The back of the box, it's like a flattened cardboard, not very about an inch tall, 2.5 inches tall. I'll show you one day, and it sort of clips up, and I think that it needs to be really airtight. On Ruby the airflow system's really good, and it has that box, and I've tiger sealed mine in because they always fall out. That's enough time spent on that, because you'll think I'm rambling. If you've got a Cortina, you wouldn't think you'd find it quite interesting. If not, then perhaps you'd find it that I'm rambling. So I'm going to move on, get out of here, and get on some welding. Okay, we've talked about the airflow. Let's fix this. Our donor part is in the acid bath. Our Phosclene is doing its magic. Just you can see that it's gone. The water's gone a rusty colour because this little part needed some assistance, but it's coming up good. So we'll just give that another hour there, then I'll wire brush off any that don't quite come off. Ideally you'd leave this longer, but it's not too bad, most of it's gone. The rest will wire brush up. Then we'll have to prime this with weld through, because it's going to be welded in place, and we also mustn't forget that we're going to be using the seam sealer in that whole slot that we talked about to make sure it goes on as the factory intended it to with that seal. Okay, so just preparation on that panel, and then back across to the car. Whoops, there goes a little tub, nothing in it. Back across to the car, a little bit on of rust killer on there, and then we'll put the rust converter in any bits that don't come up quite clean. The rust converter will turn it inert. Then make sure we're all alright to get the rest of the metal landing in the right place, and that this area is cleaned and well through primered. Then we'll place that in, make sure that it's lined up. We can start getting some welds onto it, and that should finalise that little area. So it's gone quite well. I did notice that they must have changed the profile, because this here is a little slightly different shape than the piece I'm about to put on, in terms of this little imprint that's stamped into it. It doesn't have that on mine, so we'll just have to kind of like blend it in. It's one of those things. Okay, going good. I'll just get a bit more cleaning up to do on that panel. Okay, with the metal nicely cleaned up, we're ready now for the weld through primer on it. We might as well just cover the whole area. This is going to get extensively treated inside these box sections, and you can still get to the end of them even when this repair goes on. We need to do that before the outer quarter wing fits. But for now we'll just get this welded in place, and then we must remember to inject the paint inside right the way down here using the lance and a pressurised gun, and we'll draw the tube through so that that cavity there is well covered, and again on this side of the baffle, so you can just see the baffle bridges underneath the sort of bridge shape the baffle goes. So we'll make sure that we do put plenty of rust prevention into that area. For now it's weld through primer on both faces. We need to weld up that little screw there, that's for the vent, which is a later modification. So I'll just coat every surface, won't do any harm. And then I was right about this. There's that Ford they did this on the scuttle and people weren't sure that it was supposed to be there. It is supposed to be there. That recess is to put mastic sealant in. It comes down and it goes round, and you definitely pump seam sealer into that before you place this panel over it. It is definitely right. Okay, so I'm going to now paint this, then line it up, and I'll make sure it's exactly right. You can just see the scribe line I made to make this land, but I think I might offer the quarter up just to make sure this sits correctly and it's meeting the corner of the quarter for when we finally braze it. Obviously this is the boot aperture spacing as well, so you know, you've got to get that right. It just forms the very corner where the boot sits. When your boot hinges up, you're in this area here. Alright, anyway, I'll paint that up and then I'll get ready to get the spot welder out, because we're going to spot weld some of this in place first, then the rest we can MIG in. Here we go then. A bit of weld through primer to go onto this repair piece. Stepping back, you can get a better view of where we actually are on the car. You can see top right hand corner where the boot lid fits. Rain gutter channel, aeroflow system, all combined. Back window seal, the whole lot. Intersection with a quarter. So a little tricky, not hard repair, but you know, just if you got that panel, you're halfway there. Luckily that was a good one that we've kept. Okay, off I go. Okay, just to assist us, I've got us a boot lid. May or may not be the one we use on the car. We'll have to see. Oh, it's quite a good boot lid. Just to make sure we get this parallel gap. So what I'm looking for is keeping this parallel, because this has never moved. So if this gap at the top of the boot lid stays the same, then this should continue to stay the same. It's not too critical with the width here, because this is built up anyway around the area. This braze goes in here. You can shape that how you want it to, really. It wouldn't be a big deal. And it does indeed concave away there. So this, in terms of the gap on this side, not worried as much as I am the parallel on that run. Okay, this bit can be built out how we need. So I just let that boot lid land. Don't so much worry about the wing fitment, because they've all moved a little bit. Just talking about that so we can see we're too high up there. We just want to pull the boot back a little bit, go for a parallel line, and then tack that in place when we're happy where it is. There's a fillet piece to make yet that goes inside here, so it can slot into this, and it makes it a lot easier for you when you're welding it back up. So we're going to cut a little section spare metal off, crush it in a bit, and fit it onto this, and then as this piece comes in, it slots in at this end. But I just wanted to just get a rough idea where I was with that fitting along there with a boot lid, actual boot lid on it. So that's what you're at. If I take you overhead to have a look, you can see I need to pull the boot back just a touch like that, and then that gap goes parallel all the way, and we make sure that when we fix this in position, because you could go quite far out there. Look, see how much movement you could have potentially if you didn't get it right. Even when it is nestling in here, there's loads of space for it to move. So I know that you can do it by eyesight, looking down. You could see that that would be wrong, but it's best just to have everything lined up. Okay, just gives you a bit of help with having the boot lid. Something like coming up what you can see there before we put the tack on it. Here we go. I actually ran out of my pink primer. What I did when I've been putting this in and out, I've scratched I've scratched some of it off, so I wanted to touch it in, and I'm out. So I'm back to our. This is good stuff though, Weld 2. So I'm just back on that at the moment. No, what I did, I had to weld the little fillet piece. I'd forgotten about it. See that fillet piece just there? That enables me now to slide that in. So don't worry about the weld through primer changing colour. I just wire weld it back and then just touched it in. It scratched it off. Right, now seam sealer's ready. Here it is. And we're going to put the seam sealer in that little channel that's designed to catch it, and then we're going to slot that in place. Now I've marked exactly where it fits with the boot and bonnet and the wing. Sorry, the boot off and the wing off. Seam sealer on. Off we go with that. The downside, of course, of a shell dip, even with the pros, even with all the big boys who do it, is that, sorry, that's in, is that seam seal on there. Of course, when you get your car dipped, various different dipping companies, but I think they all get rid of the seam sealers. I don't know if there's a process which you can dip and it doesn't burn off the paint, because that's the only problem. You lose little seam seal things like this. Whether you'll be able to get to it, I don't know. You could with your quarter off get in to this end, I suppose. So you have to make a list if you dip your shell of what parts you'll lose in terms of that sealant. Okay, so I better get that on before it starts to dry, cure, and then I'll get the spot welder and crimp and clamp, and then pinch this with a spot weld, and then we'll do a MIG down there, join that and sand it back, and then we should be done in that corner. Should look very nice. Tricky to get in here, we just about do it. Just about getting our super duper tusks. Oh yeah! Close. We got it. Woo! Shit, it's caught fire. Whoa! Get out! The joys of seam sealer and welder, spot welders combined. Woo! We got it. Okay, we're ready now. I'll take you down, I'll just point you right down, ready now to get the weld on this. Slowly down you go. So you get to this area, and that's where we're going to just MIG it in now. The welder right behind you, just about enough room to get it. I'll lean over and I'll come in just there. You can hear the fan of the welder go in, cooling fan. Gloves, one pair off, can't quite get double gloves on, so they'll come off, welding gloves on, power's set where we want. We'll just get a tack on first so I can release this clamp. There's a clamp, you just see the C-clamp there. I'm going to come in just behind and just in front of your lens. A little bit of paint on it, just stopping it from first taking. Let's just hope that seam sealer doesn't reignite. Release that. You may as well stay on with me then. just going to do a check and make sure, hold on, just going to do a check and make sure that it is flush there. I can just see that it's a little raised, so looking at this, I'm just going to pry it up a little bit, bring that fillet close up to the roof. Okay, just wants a little lever up, I can just see it. I want to get it nice and flush there. Okay, that's that bit of welded in. I had to put extra weld just at the bottom because of that profile mismatch, or the end of the profile perhaps. That might be just where the end of this little recess ends, and I think it just curves off. Let's have a look at this end and just see. Yeah, it does, it just finishes off like coming in there, so we just want to shape that in. It's not that it's a different profile, it's just that's the very end of that line, so we want to shape that so it tapers away nicely. Alright, so we'll just sandbag that weld now and see if we need to put any more bits of weld in. We can weld up that hole for that screw that's used on later cars for the weather strip to screw through, and then a little bit of a nip there where I caught it with the angle grinder. There's some pinholes up here, we'll be careful how we tackle these. We might be able to get some metal threaded in at the back and just fix them that way. I think we can actually get some in at the back there to fix them, save blowing through. Won't get the copper bar in, but I'm thinking of getting a little bit of metal plate and just sliding it in and clamping it. Okay, so I'll just finish dressing this weld up now, and we'll see if there's any more welds needed to be done. Looking good for that end repair. Well, there we go, sanded back, flattened back, little pinhole filled in with a welder there, and we're really pretty much done. Shout out to George in Ireland, thanks for your support, George, over there across the water. Hi George, been watching some of your clips as well recently. George is restoring some old 70s and 80s, I think 70s amplifiers, does a good job on his restorations. I enjoy watching. But yeah, we got a big shout out to everyone that's been supporting us too. Armand and George there, of course, but everyone else, you know, it's been really busy recently on the channel, so Thanks to all YouTubers for your good support and your comments and your constructive feedback. I'm going to try and get back and get replies in. There's a lot of you to reply to, so I'm sorry I haven't had a chance yet to get back on, but I will read all your questions and reply back as soon as I can. Alright? Promise I'll do that. Right, what do you reckon? Nice repair? We'll put a little bit of primer on that just because it's really bare metal compared to this finish on that doesn't seem to flash rust as quick as the bare metal. I'll just pop some weld through over it, then at least if I'm doing some more welding in the future around here, which I will be doing, I'm not going to get any paint burn. But maybe a little bit of filler just there, but I don't think you can. Almost lost it with just pure weld. A little skim in, I can just feel a little bump. Alright, but not bad at all, pretty pleased with that one. Bit of primer on there, let's move on to another job. Let's have a look, what can we do now while we're waiting for those parts. I don't enjoy, nobody does, waiting for suppliers who let you down. If I let any one of my customers down, I'd be in trouble. Okay. It's another day and another dollar. We need these. These are the fillet pieces that fit up and help you connect the roof to the quarter. This one was removed in okay shape. We need to just bash it straight a little bit so it's a bit flatter. But the other side, the other fillet piece seems to be absent. I don't know what happened to it. If I recall, did I take it off? Am I losing my mind? I don't know where that is. I wouldn't have thrown it away. I do remember it being damaged, and because it's had a new quarter on that side, they'd ripped into that fillet piece. Anyway, in the absence of further communication, I've extracted from some of the old quarter panels I've been using all those body shells for parts. I saved these bits. So one's cut short, one must have got sliced off a car and got cut short. This is for the other side because they are handed. And then this one is the same as the one I've just shown you. But I'm going to use the bit of metal off this to extend this. So I'll just put a plate on it. I'll spot weld it into position. Or spot weld it ready to go. So what we're doing really is making the fillet piece that's missing out of two bits. Then we'll clean it. I don't know where the other one was, but the other one was damaged because they've migged it. So that might be the reason. But anyway, I'm going to get the spot welder onto that one, spot weld it, and cut it to the right profile to fit. So bits are ready because we are now trying to infill time here. And time is important. Never underestimate time. Spot welder on. Make a bracket. I left you just seconds ago for you. Oh yeah, with that repair. We're doing the same repair on the other side. Take you over, outstretched arms. But that panel's not yet in stock. We're waiting for it from the dippers. I've actually got the entire run, which you're going to see it be a shame to actually break up a complete panel there. Someone's going to need that. I don't think I can do anything about it. I mean, I need that shaped metal. And it's there for a reason, the panel. Okay, a bit of cutting. You can see the weld, the lead that we melted out of those quarters when we cut them to get those fillet pieces because the lead loaded in. That was a bit of a messy job. Look at that. Better get that cleaned up. Okay, spot welder. Cleaned and sheened and ready to go in. And then we've got the other side as well. I've just done. Just down here. Why am I sounding like a lamb? I have no idea. Here, idea. Hair here, here, hair here. Here, hair here. Okay, that's the other side. Joined together with a fillet. Backing plate, a fillet for a fillet, an F for an F. F for an F. And guess who blew through it with a crocky sander? Ha! Huh? Oh dear, won't make much odds that. Don't worry about that one. No one's perfect, especially me. Right, that is prepped. Behind it's cleaned and well through primered. This is well through primered. That slots up in there like that. Then we get the spot weld and just pinch it into place, leaving a little gap to feed the edge of the quarter wing in. I can see that being a bit of a tight squeeze there now that I've put that in. Prior to that the wing would just drop in, but now it's going to have to dodge around the end of this bracket. There's a stop end there to give you your setting position, and boom, you're good to go. We just need to clamp that in place, and then our friend the spot weld will come and set a few spot welds in there. At least that job's out of the way. I've also cleaned down this run here. That was just needing a bit of a degrease and clean. We used the Foss Clean B, taking you over very slowly to the Foss Clean B. There it is, in that little tub and a brush. The Foss Clean B just helps you to get off anything that's flashed, leaving it over paintable. In fact, it's a great little bit of kit. So what we're going to do, we're going to spray some weld through up there because we won't be able to reach it later on. Just see how you can't quite get up once this fillet's in, so we may as well just coat that area. The other side's done, so I'm then going to clamp it in position, and that's our roof to quarter join-in fillet piece ready to go on. And we do the same for the other side. There might be a little bit of quarter to pull back out of the way, but at least that's the job done. What I'm trying to do, as I explained, is count down the jobs, niggly jobs, waiting for people to come through with their side of the bargain. Looking rather metal strewn like a wasteland, carved from the wreckage, we were. All just waiting to be removed. Just think though, soon this is going to be gone and the visual impact will be great. Soon all of this whole place will be gone. Just gone. All this whole place, everything, gone, just gone. There's a great war about 40 years from now. All this whole place, it's gone, just gone. So it fits in just like that. I just hope that I can get the wing edge underneath, the quarter wing edge underneath that. I'm all the way up here where I'm supposed to be. It's got this awful feeling that that's going to make life hard. I don't know, it might slot in. There's not a lot of room. It's better it being tight up against it, but I'm half tempted to slice the end off that. It's got this feeling it's going to cause me problems. Oh dear. I wonder if I should put a couple of spot welds in it and see if the wing will fit on. I reckon that's a strategy. Let's try it. Okay, I'm happy that weren't too bad. Sort of feed round the back of there, push up and slot into that. Perfectly adequate to get in. So it does work. And there's enough fillet to connect this wing to it, so we're okay there. This gap's a little bit bigger than factory because when I salvaged the roof I did cut a line off the roof, but there's still plenty of meat to work with, so we're alright. It's going to be nice that. You can see how that roof line follows right up through, straight-ish. We'll get that little kink to the right. Let's see, there you go. Alright, so we are alright to spot weld in the fillet. It's not going to get in the way of anything else. You can see how we're starting to prepare this area so that when it comes to the final fitment we don't have any problems. We wouldn't want to put all them spot welds across that and find it's in the way, but it does all line up itself. We've said this before, things sort of line themselves up alright and guide the way in. Right, it's time to put you on the tripod. Our friend is waiting in the wings. I'm anticipating some sparks from this. I'm going to turn the setting down on the control. Just down here is the controller, and there's our timer there. Just going to go halfway because that roof skin's quite thin and it's very, very clean, so I expect it to really go through nice. I'll just make sure the tips of the spot welder are clean. and we'll get a good weld. Should be able to get access there, no problem. So fillet now to spot weld in, all part of this back quarter preparation. Okay, join me under starlight. Missing my hat, don't know where it's gone. Right, it's like being at the dentist, this. Right, okay, we're going to do that. Let's do that. Down we go, and up we go. And no. What do you know? Oh, yeah. Woo! You okay there? Can you see me alright? Can you see it alright? Got the over goggles on, my glasses, just because I'm at face level here and the sparks could come in. So that's why I've got these over protected goggles on. Hope you can hear me alright. We're okay if you are, I'm alright if you are. Hell yeah, I think that's it. Right, that is that. So we just have these, we have these, because as I said, we're working at eye level there, and it's a bit of a sparky, bit of a sparker. So that's in place. We can do exactly the same now with the other side. Don't see why not. Let's go over there and check it out. We have got some grot and grime under here that needs attention. We may as well get on and clean this up. Look at all that mess. That one's making good before the leg goes on it. So as I said, we'll hunt round for those annoying jobs. So this is a wire brush job. We'll see what we can do. It's definitely going to be full helmet on for this because I'm working at a slight angle. So I'm expecting debris to come down landing all over me. So let's get a mask on. Just a fly mask will do this because there'll be quite a lot of dust coming off this. So I'm going to use the 4.5 inch grinder with the knot wheel. We're going to set up. I'm going to clean that area up and trim. This is what they do that. Okay. Wow, okay, we're looking clean. So plenty of wire brushing, plenty of grinding, and I've just ground back the welds to tidy them up where the floor repair edge was and where the new floor pan went in, because when I put that chassis leg on, I don't want any raised bits of weld that's going to distort the flush fitting of the chassis leg to that. So it's a little bit tricky upside down, but if you wear a breathing mask, just a paper mask, filter mask, fly mask, and then the full face shield and your ear defenders, you can pretty much work comfortably upside down. It's not too bad. I just get this light here on its back and that shines upwards, which makes life great. There it is, great little tool that is from Machine Mart, LED, so it doesn't get too hot so you don't burn yourself. It's pretty good. So we can overspray this now with weld through primer. There's no point making this the body colour brown, the Ford brown, because it's going to burn when I come to weld it, and it's going to end up with burnt paint inside that. You may as well just do the one layer. We're going to fill it with wax oil anyway, but I mean, it'd be nice to put the body colour brown on it, but I think it's just there's going to be that much heat. There's a lot of welds on there, just going to end up with loads of burnt patches of paint. So you just, as I say, we can either go pink or we can go spray through U-Pol. Okay, it's going to get a lot of wax oil treatment in it, so don't worry if the paint does burn back a little bit when we weld. We'll make sure we treat that. So it's a bit of a tricky one because there's so much heat in that area when you come to plug weld it back on. It's weld through primer next for that. We're looking good. Here's a tip for your power tools. So I'll keep them running that bit longer. Blow them out. Compressed air. Look at that coming out of there. It just helps keep your tools going. I've had this Mk3 for years. They are very good angle grinders, the Mk3s. Blow out the air intakes all around where it's designed to go. The same with your lovely crocky. Crocky gets a lot of stick and dust. It's probably the biggest candidate for cleaning out. So into the air intake, let them clean around there, and also where the fan is, there's a little cooling fan here. What I do, just power it up, and as it's still spinning, clean him out around the switch control, because you don't want to short that with iron filings. If you do that, you get a lot more life out of this bad boy. It's a great tool. Okay, a quick trip out to the dippers to collect those parts I was telling you about. I left you just messing with that chassis leg. Coming up to the tail end of episode 22. I hope you've enjoyed. Let's have a look at these panels before we close, and we'll do some work before we close. That's the rear panel. Remember, we've just done that corner repair. Well, this is to get the other side of it. It's a complete panel. Reluctant to break that just for one side, but needs must on it. And if I rotate it, we're going to have a look to see what we've got. Plenty there. That bit doesn't matter, that's the wing. So just a little repair needed on it, but we'll extract that out. So that's that piece. That'll be okay. And then we've got the cross member. That's great, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a straightforward job to extract. That's for the back of the floor. The back seat actually rests on that. That's a strengthener. for your floor section, and this is the chassis leg we dropped off at the dippers for the near side. Some pickling on it. I would say that's salvageable. We just need to fix these pinholes. Up top end of it's good, down this end, but that's not a problem. That's part of the original chassis leg that's already on, so we can probably work with that. So those 3 panels there, workable. And now it gets tricky. Round we go. We've put this especially to one side for you because we're in a lot of trouble. I need an evac. Man down. Look what we got. This is the piece I need at the moment. Oh dear. Portuguese was trying to come to the rescue for us, everybody out there in YouTube and Patreon land. You wait and watch eagerly in 22. Sorry for the scratchy noise. But it's as bad, well, it's not as bad as Bramble's leg, but it's gone in exactly the same place, and indeed that's why you always be able to buy that over repair section. If you look and you're doing this and you want to fix your chassis, you can readily available get the over panel patch. I don't think it's a cut and shut patch. I think it's one that's designed to drop over and get you out of jail free. We've not got it, and I wouldn't want to over patch it. So in the similar spirit of things, I could graft in a repair section, and I've had an investigation on this donor piece. Remember, we would have been better off dipping these ones, but I didn't know that I had these ones, and also these ones had already been cut a long time ago, not giving me a complete run. But this one could give us the donor section to graft into the middle of this. Now it's a little tricky, and we're going to have to be really careful that we keep that relative distance, because that's one of the swinging arms for the axle. But it could get us out of trouble. Could this piece graft its way into this section, because it looks like up the top end of it we're alright. I would imagine that would be in pretty good condition now, up that top end. So I would suggest probably the best thing to do for us, everybody, if we want to keep Bramble going, is I reckon that we carry on stripping this back, and it's a bit of a mission doing this. Let's spin it over. Hope you got enough light today in the workshop for you to see this clearly enough. Should be alright. It's a mission because you drill a lot of spot welds out, but a little technique which I'll show you if you've bought a chopped up car, bit of floor section that you found listed on eBay where someone's cut it out to sell it, and you've bought it and you're doing what I'm doing, you want to make life a little bit easier for yourself. What I do is, we're using the spot weld drill system. Okay, don't really try and grind these back. I'd use this drill system that we've got, the hole cutter. Pilot out as normal. You watch the previous videos to see us doing this. Pilot all those. I sand it back first so I can see the dimples, and then slowly bring it up this way. You can chase with a chisel. Now what will happen is, when you do your drilling, it'll not ping every single one. They won't break away free. They're always holding on just a little bit, either because the hole saw's not gone deep enough in, or because you've just gone left of centre. However, if you get a good chisel, and you need a very thin chisel designed for splitting metal, so get yourself one of them. It's a good investment. Thin wedge chisel, then you start coming in this way, and you can lever this up and it'll ping as you go. And that's what I did this end. It's a lot quicker. I initially started by crocking it. No, doesn't work. You're better off going this way. So what I'm going to do for you, I'll include a little bit of this footage, but it's pretty monotonous, and wish me luck, because I'm going to go and get that lid floor pan, making a lid effect off the leg, and then I'm going to have to do the same on this side, although luckily some of it's already done, but this has got underseal and paint on it as well, so I'm in for a double whammy. Help me. This is monotonous work. It has to be done, and it's like a bit like being at the bottom of a mountain and looking upwards thinking I've got to climb that. I do feel that way. I do feel like a long journey ahead of me here. And it's just repetitive, but it's got to be done. That's part of it. It's not all plain sailing. Sometimes you come up against a few problems with parts, and here's one of them. I mean, that's just like a sieve. Look at it. It's no good. You couldn't even start migging each individual hole up. You just end up with a mess. It's just too. If there was just a few holes, I'd have accepted that and plated and repaired. But it's just too much, and they're just the holes that have gone through. They're probably more about to go through. If you look how it's like the surface of the moon in there. Look, it's not pretty at all. I wish it was this one that had been stripped. Looked around for one of them. Tony T may have one. I'm just waiting for, there could be a call on the hotline to save me. This could be my wingman pulling me out of trouble, but we can't assume that. We're going to have to assume we haven't got one and there's no one out there to donate. So we're going to have to just drill and continue. And if Tony, the drunken car restorer, comes through, then he does. Don't worry, Tony, if you can't. I'm not banking on it, but it'd be a bonus if it comes through. I'm going to set myself up on this piece of wood, move these out of the way, and we're still in part 22. This may take us beyond, who knows, but you know what I've got to do. Radio on now, drill battery charged, sharp drill bits ready, nice new spot weld drill bit cutter ready, and ready. Are you ready? You're lucky you can just watch. I've got a drill. See you in a sec. Okay, I'm getting prepared. Drill bits is what we need, nice sharp drill bits, because we've got a lot of pilots to do, so we buy good quality ones from the welding stores. These are nice, they last for ages. So we start with that. We're going to drill all them, same as what we've done before, but we're not going to enjoy it as much. And then we'll look how far the damage goes in, which I don't reckon it'll go much beyond this, the damage. And then we'll do the same this side and cut, but we'll only need to cut the area that we're going to graft in. Although I must admit there ain't much left on this one. I don't think I'm going to be cutting much beyond this area there. Okay, let's see what we can do. So it's this piece. I suppose an unpleasant aspect of it will be cleaning it up, because this piece isn't dipped. I've got a good feeling that that's mint inside there. So it will be a graft job, because Tony's kindly come back through with the information, but the information is that it's the other side. No good. Okay. So I'm going to start on this job. Here we go. Let's get that clean. Then we can see what we're up against. Slowly starting to peel up now, so I left you drilling away with a super duper Kennedy. By the way, someone asked me, what is it? What's the spot weld drill that you use? Here it is. Okay, that's brilliant. You get 2 shots on it because you can reverse it. Right, started to go. This is the chisel I was telling you about to help you with this job. Look how thin it is. Right, thin enough to do what we need. So we just started by just tapping it, and it actually just pinged. Most of it pinged. There's a little bit there where it didn't want to go, so now I've worked it up to this point, and I'm looking to break this area now. We've gone up to there, so you can see them all, and if it follows plans, it should just come off, and then we can see. I'm just trying to take a sneak preview in. Is that, no, I thought that was rust. It's not. Okay, it's looking clean up this end. We might be alright, we might get away with this. Okay, I'm going to break them now by just going in sideways with the chisel there for you. Okay, stepping back to get you a view of the situation. I'm going to loosen that up now, everyone. Let's see if we can get this salvaged and repaired. Down we go down here then, let's go. We go down now, I'm afraid it's just me, no camera. Okay, we were lucky, minimal strike, my foot on the chassis, and look, we're away with hardly any. It's a shame we don't need this panel, but it's come off in good order, so we're getting there now. Now it's time to work our way just in the side round the back here, and then we're going to have to break away up this end. It's going to be the hardest bit, is up this end. Okay, it's all hidden up that end, but I'll have it a go. This, I think we should start attacking this now so it's ready. This is going to be hard because we've got part of the boot floor still attached to it, so the boot floor is going all the way along there as well, which we don't need. We only need, I'll flip you round, we need it up to there, nice and intact, but you can see there's some horrendous spot welds going in the two pieces. So the best way to do it is to take the remnants of the boot floor off, then you can get inside here and break away the leg. What you're talking about is this piece just up here, that leg that goes under the boot floor there. The bits of that are going to be stuck in here, so we've got to not be able to get to any of the spot welds. We can get to the spot welds that hold the remnants of the boot floor on, lift it off like a cap, and then inside you'll see the remnants of this leg. Look how it goes underneath there, see? You've got to unpick that. We need this intact because that piece is going to be slotting nicely over this cleaned up section of leg here. So both, one's an opposite job to the other. Now, I can't quite tell yet what we're going to have in terms of the integrity, but we can have a sneak preview if you want, and actually you can see it better than I can with the video camera's lens, and it's not too bad. I think we're going to have to go with that, but heavily treat it, so it should be okay. Not as good as some that you can get. There'll probably be some surface pitting, and it's probably trying to start to make its breakthrough, and that probably hasn't quite made it. Just looking at that there, it's starting to have its go at breaking through. Only when you get up here do we start to lose the game, but that's what the other section's for. Okay, so it's a bit of a mission. Now it's been on this 1 hour, so 1 hour, ladies and gentlemen, to get to that stage. 1 hour's worth of spot weld drill bit. We're not quite out of the woods yet till we get breaking down this, so you're going to see that just break down, and then once this is done and opened up, I'll close this section of the video because you'll be into at least an hour and 15. So I'll leave, can you leave me cleaning this up for the next episode on 23 or 23, episode 23. We'll see us clean and repair this and fuse it all together and get it repaired. So I'll leave you soon, but before I go and close the film, thanks for watching and the subscriptions. Try and get onto YouTube and Patreon, sorry, not YouTube, patreon.com/Cortina. We only need 15 more patrons to make the 100 target, and then I'll be happy at that. I'll have achieved 100 brilliant patrons. I can't thank them enough for what they've done for me. If you want to be part of the little team that we've got, we're going to do some meetups similar to Hub Nuts live meets. We might even combine in with some of the Hub Nut meets, but we'll definitely be doing some Cortina City meets. You into that? They'll all be organised on Patreon, so join up if you want to be part of a little mini car club this up and coming summer, and we can come along to the Cortina City stand and we'll have a chat and have a look at the cars. Okay, enough of that. That's my plug this episode for Patreon. Let's do this. Oh yeah. Join me then on the floor for the last piece of weld holding this together. Now, to make life easy, because we have mentioned this little tip in the past, where if you don't need the panel you're removing, don't worry about slicing it, to give you easier access for rocking your spot welds off, because they won't always break, as you know. So if you slice once you're lifting and the blade doesn't touch the donor piece, you can then start to get the rest of them. This is going to lift up now. Take your back on it between the legs. There's only one piece of weld holding it on. Just around there, it might. Oh yeah! Right, that's that out. What we left with, I don't know. That's alright. Yeah, we're okay there. All alright in that bit. It looks all grubby in that, that'll clean up. So we don't need to worry about the back part of this. It's probably certainly better than the one we took off Bramble. So you can see that's already smoothing up, look. No problem there. That's all good. We're okay on the inners. It's having a go at starting to corrode it, but it's nowhere near, it's just some pitting. So that piece is okay right the way up to this end. Happy with this bracket at the end there. Again, it'll clean up, so don't worry about that. Let's move this scrap metal, or we might be able to use a little piece off this. We can use that edge repair, can go for somebody that did the same as what I did, where you lose that edge if you. So I'll save that for the club, or anyone that might need that. It's going to go into stores. We'll trim it up, and that piece is a repair section for somebody if you indeed come across this problem that I did here, where I had to graft a piece in, and indeed there's a little bit missing. I could probably pinch it off that end, so we gain a little piece there, the last bit of floor repair. Although, is that the boot? Oh no, that's the boot, so that would be fixed by the boot. Actually, boot overlaps it a little bit. There's a little bit to pinch off that. Not much, a little bit to pinch off that. Let's get back to this. How far down do we have to cut? Ooh. Well, the damage starts. Let's see if I can prop it up, and you can see what the hell's going on. The damage starts, I would say. Oh, come on. That's better. The damage starts just around there. So we need to take that out, right across, keep this. Then from that yellow piece of metal that you saw earlier on, cut that just forward of this. Then we only have to peel back that bit of that metal, so that's not many welds. That's only about 20 or 30 welds to get that cover off the donor piece. So actually not going to be that bad. It's just that I was thinking of that to unpick all of this again on the yellow one, but you don't. You only need it up till where the damage begins. So how many spot welds we talking? 1, so double up. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 28, 30 welds to go, a couple in the middle, and you've got yourself the piece to graft. Now, unfortunately, this bit of the donor section we're about to fabricate up and fix and join together in episode 23, its tail end is missing, but we have got its tail end, and its tail end lives on one of those pieces of metal that we cut, because that cross member, that hump, you can see that little humpback bridge in the middle of your screen, that lands just around this area, and that humpback cross member is the same car that the donor fork's coming in. Therefore, the missing piece of the fork is attached to that hump. Now it's going to have a slice line through it, so we're going to have lost some length. We'll have to make that up by putting fillet pieces in and bringing it back, then infilling. So the welder will take up where the angle grinder sliced through the metal, the end result being that you'll have this exactly the right length, but with a splice in there and a splice there. Well, that would give us what we're not going to be able to get otherwise, so it gets us out of trouble. We'll shot blast this once it's finished, so that it's clean. and then we'll prime it up and we can get it painted. Now this one, you can put quite a nice little bit of paint in this one because there's plenty of room away from the welds on the walls, certainly centre section there, so we'll get that very, very clean. I think this will come up quite nice. Now that has been dipped, and you know, they can only get so much. That's why you've got to finish the job off with paint, so it doesn't get everything. But we've got to every panel, because if you think about this car now, we've been all over this in every cavity, so there actually won't be any cavities that we haven't covered, so we can rest at night knowing that all these internal areas are nicely treated and that we know exactly the state of play. But this could have all rotted away, but it hasn't. It's actually pretty good off the Portugal shell, and this is the piece I told you about that I've got to extract. You'll have seen me trying to do the opposite of it up this end. That's the male version. Up this end we don't want to damage that. In fact, it needs a little repair underneath I mentioned earlier, which we can do. We've got to try and get this out. We need it for its repair piece, so I've got to try and extract this out, or I just cut metal that's the same shape as this to repair this end. So when this end is fixed and this is removed from the main run, the main chassis leg slots over it and you're off and you're back in position where you should be. So that's the plan, and that's what I've been trying to do for a while now. It's taking longer than I thought, but you can see how much work's involved with it and why a job like this might take so long. I worked on a bit of plywood board there, and what I'm going to do now before I leave is vac up all the iron filings. There's a lot of them, swarf and stuff from the drill bits. Clean it up, just do a double check, and then what we'll do, we'll make a measuring device. We're going to measure from this to where the axle bolt goes through. You can see the axle bolt coming right there across that tube. Now that's going to be getting cut off. We need to make sure that when we put the new piece of metal on, that stays exactly the same distance from a marker point or a datum point up this end, because what you wouldn't want to do is just cut and shut in there and have that slightly too forward or back. When you can put your axle on, it's going to pull on the axle a bit. If that did happen, it wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world, because you could alter your swinging arms. You can certainly cut and shut swinging arms to suit, and the axle does have serrated plates on it, which makes the axle actually move. You can actually get your axle and twist it either way you want on these serrated plates. If the end of my fingers are each wheel, the axle does go like this on the serrated plates. You can actually twist on early ones anyway. Later ones you have it fixed. So if we found that the axle wasn't parallel, in other words the centre of each wheel to the centre of the front wheel needs to form a square both sides. That's very important. So as long as you form a square, perfect square on your four wheels, then your car's going to drive straight, and that's what we'd make sure that we do. Alright, there's a couple of ways which you can do it, but the main way we're going to do it is by taking the measurement from that tube to this metal bracket, and we'll place this and screw it down to this plywood sheet, and then when we offer that up, it can't move anywhere. And once we get a couple of tacks on, you can release it from the plywood sheet and carry on with your job, getting it right. But as you can see, if we flip it around before we close, sorry it's a bit close up this episode, quite an intense episode with a lot of stuff just fixed on this rear, so apologies that we've not had much variation in episode 22, but I'm sure you'll know that we're heading to a good place. Alright, and this is our little chat at the end of the film. Just my thoughts on this for anyone that's doing it at home, if it's a Cortina or indeed any classic car where you've got this amount of spot welds to get off, and these kind of panels where you're salvaging, you've been the scrap yard, you've been on eBay, or you've been the breakers yard and you've cut out pieces that you needed, or people have cut them out for you, whatever you've done, and you're wanting to split them apart like this, and there's so many spot welds, you could get daunted. You need to learn some patience. If you've not got patience, then try and be patient with it to stop yourself getting stressed, because you could get stressed. It doesn't stress me, but some people tell me that it does. for those people or anyone else who's going to attempt this, most of your spot welds will go if you do the procedure which we've done. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but it works with these bits. It's very important to have your pilot drill bit. That's a real deal changer. And everyone's piloted, because otherwise this will dance all over the place. So you go for your spot welds. The biggest error that I find is you'll miss a spot weld. So you'll have sanded them down, or you rub the lead gently. Like for example here, if I rub gently, watch, look how they've appeared. Because the recess can't take the rub, and you get a trace of it. So that's the main thing, is not to miss them. That's one tip. Reveal your welds as good as you can. Mark them with a yellow paint marker if you want, or a silver, a bright colour, red, whatever you want. Mark them if you want to, but make sure you pilot drill them right the way through, and then go for it on a slow speed with this so you don't burn it out, and use cutting oil. This is what I did for my cutting oil. Hold on, my other hand's going to get this little tub for you. We're closing soon, I promise. So there's a little tub with the cutting oil sprayed in it, and the cutting oil was a very kind gentleman, sent me a lovely tin as well. We thank him, you know who you are. And he also sent me loads of other goodies, and thanks for the goodies that are coming in, people sending me gifts. So thank you for those gifts, tools, goggles, all sorts, great stuff. Anyway, cutting compound, and then I just dunk the end in, and each time then on a slow speed, so speed 1 for me here on the drill. Battery drill with an LED light always helps. Have a good light when you're working as well up here, which is what we've got. Down tripod on the floor, and I'm today working on the floor. So dump that in, go nice and slow, start drilling them out. Then here's your next friend, a good chisel. And I'll just show you another angle. Hold on, we'll just walk around this side. With the chisel, you can work your way down, peel, and then so that's another tip. Very thin, look at that. Another tip, here's another friend, but treat it with respect. That can slice your fingers off. Dead easy, really, really easy. Straight through your finger. You've got to get confident with your 1mm discs, or indeed any disc attached to this, but particularly the 1mm disc. They're very dangerous. If you slip, if you've not got a guard on it, you need a guard on it. Reason you need a guard on it is this: when you hold it, it's very easy for your fingers to start coming up this part, and then it can pull round your hand and bump your finger have gone. It happens to me. It's never happened on a 1mm disc. It's happened to me on a wire wheel. That wire wheel there caught me. So I wouldn't like to hear about anyone that gets problems with this. Also, wear goggles when you're using this, because it depends. Try and get good quality cutting discs, not eBay ones, or get a good brand, because then they're less likely to shatter. Again, these are Klingspor, similar to my same company that make the sanding belts. So I recommend Klingspor or similar equivalent brand, not cheap brands. Why? Less chance of it fragmenting, and if you've not got the goggles on, then that's going to straight into your eye. Isn't going to be good. So really my main point is, do not underestimate your angle grinder. And you use that in this application when we're removing loads of spot welds like this, and whilst we might have been able to peel it up this way like a tin opener up to here, it starts getting a little bit tricky when you're coming around some angles and stuff. So then you can just slice it off and carry on. Then your chisel can get into other places. So look at it systematically. Don't just charge in there, but just break it down, reverse engineer it and break it down, and that'll give you a much better progress rate and a neater job. So coming off the floor now, up we go. I'm going to leave you there, and again, thanks for the support. And it won't be long for episode 23. We're going to be, because there's loads of footage. I mean, I'm going to carry on filming now, but I've just got to create an end point in the film. We'll catch you in 23. Over and out for now. Pete C, Cortina City. Hope you enjoyed this. and look forward to seeing this all nicely repaired. But don't worry, we'll show you how the repairs go in 23. Another hour on it for me before I wind up and get some food, tea time, and then another day tomorrow on the car. Over and out, Cortina City. What are you reading, lad? Wanna play a bit of cat golf? Come on, let's tee off. You ready? It's time to play cat golf. Whoa! Nearly, lad. Oh, he's having a go. Give it a smack, lad. Are you going to hook it? That's the wrong way. That's the wrong way. It's cat golf. Try a roller bearing here. Try a roller bearing. Ah, failed. Good control. Very good control. Look at that. Look at that wiggle. Look at that wiggle. Oh, nearly. Oh! Whoa, a spin! A power spin! Right, one more. That's it, that's the right way. Keep going. No, you go backwards.